She called the cops and screamed, "Arrest him!" But I was on my own land. I froze for a second, staring at the woman in pearls and sunglasses standing on my driveway like she owned the world. Karen, the HOA's self-appointed queen, was waving a clipboard like it was a sword. "You can't park here. You can't even live here," she yelled. I glanced at my truck, parked perfectly on my own driveway, and felt the blood rush to my face. My wife grabbed the kids and stepped behind me. "Ignore her," I whispered. "Stay calm." Karen didn't care. She had already dialed something on her phone, probably calling her fake HOA enforcement team. A beat later, 2 uniformed men appeared, badges glinting. They stepped up aggressively. "Sir, you're being cited for parking violations," one said. I raised an eyebrow. "Wait, what authority do you have? This is private property and I live here." The men exchanged a glance. Karen smirked as if she'd already won. I kept my voice steady, but inside my mind was racing. My years in the highway patrol kicked in, training, instincts, calm under pressure. I knew these HOA cops weren't real, but I also knew Karen loved public humiliation. She wanted to make me sweat to show her fake power. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. Security footage from my doorbell camera was already recording her every move. I stepped closer, holding it out. "Smile, Karen, you're about to go viral." Her eyes flickered, a second of doubt. That's when I realized this was going to get messy, and not in her favor. She gasped, glaring at me like I'd crossed some invisible line she thought only she could control. "You can't just record me. This is private." I cut her off, pointing at the live feed on my phone. "You just called fake cops to harass your neighbor, and I've got every second of it." Her fake cops shifted uncomfortably. One whispered, Maybe we should check with HQ first." Karen waved them off like they were children. "Ignore him. He thinks he owns the place." I stayed calm, letting the kids peek nervously from behind the car. Then I noticed something that made my stomach drop. Her hand slipping under her purse, probably for some legal-looking papers. "You're trying to serve me some fake notice, aren't you?" I said. Before she could answer, my wife stepped forward, her eyes sharp. "Did you know I trained SWAT units?" Karen blinked. My wife had been in tactical law enforcement before we moved here, an advantage Karen had no idea existed. The fake cops froze, glancing at each other. Karen's smirk faltered just a little. I'm calling the real authorities," she stammered. I shook my head and smiled, taking out my real badge from my jacket pocket. "I am the highway patrol, and these two are trespassing." The color drained from Karen's face. The twist hit her like a brick. The man she humiliated every week on Facebook and at HOA meetings wasn't just any neighbor. He was the law, and suddenly, the predator was about to become the prey. Say next when you're ready for Section 3. I'll ramp up the tension with public humiliation and the first major twist. "You said," next ChatGPT said. Karen's eyes darted around, panic slowly replacing her arrogance. You can't do this." "I'm the HOA. People listen to me," she barked, voice trembling. I raised my phone, showing the live feed to the growing crowd of neighbors who had started peeking from their windows and lawns. Every second of her fake authority, every scream and demand was now on camera. One of the fake cops tried to protest, but I stepped forward, calm and firm. "Sir, you need to leave. This property belongs to me. You're trespassing." His confident posture melted when he noticed the security footage streaming live to my phone, and through it, to my neighbor's group chat that had over 100 local residents watching in real time. Karen's hand shook as she pulled out a piece of paper, waving it like a weapon. I'm issuing a violation. "You have 7 days," I cut her off, voice low and steady. "This notice is invalid. You're impersonating law enforcement." The words hit harder than any physical blow. Her mouth opened, closed, and opened again like a fish out of water. Then came the first big twist. My neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, stepped onto her porch and shouted, "Karen, everyone here can see what you're doing. Stop lying about your authority." Dozens of people emerged, phones recording, some even live streaming. The tables turned instantly. Karen froze, realizing her empire of intimidation was crumbling in front of everyone she wanted to control. My wife smirked quietly behind me, knowing that Karen's plan to humiliate us had backfired spectacularly. And I knew this was just the beginning. Karen's face turned crimson, her fingers trembling as she fumbled with her phone. I'm calling the sheriff," she shouted, voice cracking. But before she could press dial, I held up my badge again, calmly. I am the highway patrol, Karen, and these two are trespassing. Step back. Her eyes widened, panic now overtaking her usual arrogance. She looked around as if expecting backup from some invisible HOA army. But the crowd of neighbors only stared, phones raised, recording every second. My wife moved closer, her stance silent but lethal, a reminder of her SWAT training. Then Karen made a move that almost worked. She tried to grab my phone. I sidestepped and pressed play on the doorbell footage I'd recorded earlier. It showed her sneaking onto my property last week, leaving fake violation notices on my door and yelling at the kids. The crowd gasped, murmuring. This was the hidden power twist, proof not only of her harassment but of her consistent abuse. Her fake cops froze. Maybe we should leave, one whispered nervously. Karen waved them off, desperation clear. She lunged again for the phone, but I stepped closer. Karen, look around. Everyone can see the truth now. Her panic spiraled. You can't prove anything, she shrieked. I let a slow smile spread across my face. Actually, I can. And I already have. The twist hit her full force. The woman who had thought she controlled the neighborhood had no idea she was about to be exposed. Live in front of everyone. Karen's hands shook violently as she tried to regain control, but the momentum had already shifted. You can't do this. I'll have you arrested, she screamed, voice cracking. That's when her desperation made her reckless. She pointed at my truck. I'm having this towed. Right now. A tow truck appeared almost instantly, called by Karen's panic-fueled HOA cronies. The driver glanced at me, confused. Sir, are you okay with this? I shook my head slowly. No, this is private property. The truck stays where it is. Karen shouted over the noise, trying to rally the crowd to her side, but instead she drew more attention to her lies. He's breaking the rules. You have to listen to me. The neighbors were no longer cheering her. Now phones were filming her every word, every flailing gesture. Her power had evaporated. Then came another shock. My wife calmly stepped forward, holding a legal document. These are your HOA's fake notices, Karen. Forged signatures, no authority, no backing. You're liable for trespassing and harassment. The crowd gasped, whispers spreading like wildfire. Karen's face went pale. I leaned closer, voice low but loud enough for everyone to hear. I didn't fight for this country to be told I can't park in my own driveway or protect my family. The twist landed hard. Karen's public humiliation was complete, and the people who had once feared her were now witnessing her downfall. Karen's panic turned into fury. She stomped toward me, waving her clipboard like a weapon. You think you've won? I still have ways to ruin you, she hissed, but her words sounded hollow against the buzz of phones capturing every movement. Then came the second major twist. One of her HOA cops tried to interject, nervously holding up a phone. Sir, she's calling the real cops this time. He hesitated, glancing at me. I smiled calmly. Good luck. Within moments, real police sirens blared down the street. Karen's eyes went wide. When the real cops arrived, I stepped forward, badge in hand, showing the recorded footage of her harassment, the fake violations, and the attempts to call fake law enforcement. The officers exchanged glances, visibly impressed. Karen stammered, trying to explain herself, but no one was buying it. Every lie she'd told for weeks was now public evidence. The crowd erupted in whispers and gasps. Neighbors who had once feared her now nodded and murmured in solidarity with us. Karen's face twisted with rage, humiliation, and disbelief. She realized the tables had turned completely. The predator was exposed, her fake power shattered, and her credibility destroyed. I felt a quiet sense of satisfaction. The twist was more than just a win. It was a revelation of who truly had control. Karen had gambled with intimidation and lies, but her empire of fear collapsed in the light of truth. Karen sank onto her, front steps defeated, her clipboard dropping with a loud thud. The real officers took her aside, explaining the consequences of trespassing, impersonating law enforcement, and filing false reports. Every word hit her like a hammer, her empire of control crumbling before the neighbors who had once feared her. I turned to the crowd, raising my phone to show the live feed again. This is what truth looks like, I said, voice steady but fierce. Murmurs of approval rippled through the street. My wife gave me a small, proud nod. her presence a reminder of the silent strength backing me. Karen's fake cops slipped away quietly, realizing they had picked the wrong fight. Meanwhile, neighbors approached us expressing relief, support, and surprise. Some shared their own stories of HOA harassment, all recorded now in the neighborhood group chat. Her reign of intimidation had ended in public shame, and justice had been served without a single unlawful act on our part. The satisfaction wasn't in revenge, it was in rightful authority and exposure. Karen would think twice before trying to bully anyone again, especially with the entire neighborhood watching. I felt a surge of pride, not just for protecting my family but for standing up to abuse in a way that left no doubt about the truth. The street fell quiet as Karen was escorted away, still sputtering protests that no one cared to hear. I looked at my wife and kids, their faces full of relief and pride. My truck sat on the driveway untouched, a simple symbol of what we had fought for, and won. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight lift. I didn't fight for this country to be told I can't protect my own home, I said quietly. My wife squeezed my hand and the kids ran off to play, safe at last. Around us, neighbors were talking, sharing videos and laughing about how the so-called queen of the HOA had been exposed in front of everyone. It wasn't just about property rights or enforcing rules. It was about standing up to abuse, protecting family, and holding power accountable. Karen's lies couldn't survive the truth, and our small victory had become a statement. Intimidation and fake authority have no place here. As the sun dipped behind the trees, I felt a quiet pride swell inside me. Our family was safe. Our land, ours, and justice had been served, not with violence but with courage, planning, and the law. Karen had underestimated the people she tried to control, and in the end we reminded everyone why truth and perseverance always win.